Hello children, how are you all? I'm Naveen, going to teach you social science. Before entering into the topic, I would like to inform you our online class norms. Keep your content book and notes note ready. Listen to the video carefully. Once the video completed, start reading word by word all the contents in your book and note down the important places, years, names and events. I repeat, note down all the important places, years, names and events. Your note should be maintained properly. Handwriting should be neat and legible. Draw the end margins. Underline the headings. Leave little finger space between two words. I hope already ma'am started the chapter 1 French Revolution. In this module we are going to have a reflection on the previous topic and we are going to cover 3 more topics. Shall we start children? Yes, our today's agenda: reflection, a struggle to survive, a growing middle class envisages and end to privileges, accounts of lived experiences in the old regime. First one, reflection. So, in the previous class, we have discussed about the Bastille attack. So, what are the causes for the Bastille attack? Because of King Louis XVI and his wife Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette belonged to, yes, Austria. She is an Austrian princess. What happened in the France during that time, children? There was a economic depression, which means the financial crisis. Why it happened? Because of the long years of war. Because of the long years of war. And not only because of that, children, and also the King Louis XVI had maintained his court in a expensive way. Is it clear, children? During the time of depression also, he maintained his court in a expensive way. Is it clear, children? Yes. Then how much amount debt it was? Yes, 2 billion livres. What is meant by livres? Livres means unit of currency in France. When it is discontinued in the year 1794. Is it clear, children? So, due to the debt, what was the result, children? King Louis XVI imposed more tax on the people. More tax on the people. To which people he imposed the tax, children? Yes, to the third estate people. So, coming to the classification of the French society, they have 3 estates. How many estates? 3 estates. In the first estates, who will be there? Clergy people will be there. Who will be there, children? Clergy people. Who are clergy people? The group of persons invested with special functions in the church. Is it clear, children? Clergy people are the people or the group of persons invested with special functions in the church. For example, coming to our India, some priests, the temple priests have special function in the temple, right? As like the same, clergy people will have some special function in the church. Is it clear, children? Then coming to the second estate, the people who are in the second estate are called nobles. Who are nobles? Those who belong to the higher or royal family. Is it clear, children? Then coming to the third estate. So, in this third estate only, the people need to pay the tax to the king. Is it clear, children? So, who all comes under this third estate? Big businessmen, merchants, court officials, lawyers, peasants and artisans, small peasants, landless laborers and servants. Is it clear, children? These are the 3 estate in the French society. Among the 3 estate, the third estate people have to pay their taxes. Is it clear, children? So what are the types of taxes? There are 2 types of taxes. One is tithe, another one is daily. The first one is tithe and another one is daily. So the tithe is the tax levied by the church, comprising 1/10 of the agricultural produce. What is meant by 1/10 of the agricultural produce? Among their production, they have to pay 1/10 of their production to the church. Is it clear, children? What is meant by daily? Daily is the tax to be paid directly to the state. Is it clear, children? Shall we move to the today's topic? Yes, the first one is the struggle to survive. So the name itself familiar for you to understand the situation of the French people. So the people struggle to survive, they struggle to live. The main reason is the population of the France arose from about 23 million in 1715 children to 28 million in 1789. See how much inflation it is that? Yes, 23 million in 1715 to 28 million in 1789. It is a huge explosion, children. This leads to the rapid increase in the demand for food grains. Is it clear, children? So there is an insufficient amount of food grains among the people. So the production of grains could not keep the pace with the demand. As there is an increase in demand, children, the production of the food grains is less. So ultimately what will happen, children, if there is a if there is a demand and the product is less, what will be the result, children? Yes, the price of the product will be more. Same, so the price of the bread, which was the staple diet of the majority of the people, rose rapidly. What is meant by staple diet? Staple diet means it's a common food they would like to have for their daily life. Is it clear, children? So the most workers were employed as laborers in the workshops. Those owners fixed their wages. Is it clear, children? The people who worked under a owners, they don't have any rights to claim their salary. Their owners will fix the salary to their employers. Those salaries are very less. They could not live in the society. Is it clear, children? Is it clear? Because of the rise in price of food grains, the bread price also high. Then how the people will survive, children? Even some days there are some droughts or hail. What is meant by droughts? Droughts means famine. Is it clear, children? Droughts means famine. And what about hail? Yes, the rains, ice cube rains. Have you seen in the news and all, children? So that is hail. Is it clear? Sometimes it leads to the bad harvest. Is it clear, children? This leads to the subsistence crisis. What is meant by subsistence crisis? An extreme situation where the basic means of livelihood are endangered. Is it clear, children? Subsistence crisis means an extreme situation. It will not be usual, children. It is an extreme situation where the basic means of livelihood are endangered. Is it clear? So what are the things we have discussed now, children? Thus, in the struggle to survive, we have discussed about the population explosion, demand for the food grains, an increase in the bread price, the less wages for the employers, and the last one is droughts and hails. Is it clear, children? It leads to the subsistence crisis. What is meant by subsistence crisis? An extreme situation where the basic means of livelihood are endangered. Is it clear, children? Shall we move to the next one? So, the next topic is a growing middle class envisages an end to privileges. So, what is meant by middle class, children? Yes, the people who develop from the lower class and not belongs to the royal family. Is it clear, children? In the past, peasants and workers had participated in the revolts against the increasing taxes and food security. Is it clear, children? So the peasants and workers or farmers, they started to revolt, children, for the increasing of taxes and food scarcity, but they lacked how to recover from that. Is it clear, children? But they lacked how to recover from that. So this was left to the groups within the third estate. So within the third estate, there are some people like lawyers, merchants, right? Court officials, rights. So it was left up to them to become prosperous and have to access education and new ideas. Is it clear, children? They have the capacity of education, they have the capacity of trade or work to develop their society, and also they need some socialization, which means equality among them. Is it clear, children? The 18th century witnessed the emergence of social group termed as middle class, who earned their wealth through expanding overseas trade and from the manufacture of goods such as woolen textiles that was either exported or brought by the rich members of the society. At first, the third estate members, how they developed children, they done overseas trade. What they done children? Yes, overseas trade. What material? Woolen and silk textiles. Is it clear children? Woolen and silk textiles. So, and the next profession includes lawyers or administrative officials. Lawyers and administrative officials, these people are well educated children and believed no group in the society should be privileged by birth. Is it clear children? Privileged by birth means from the birth right they could not have all the privileges. Coming to the India, we have some caste system like the same they have some class system. So in that class system, the first two estate people have some privileges by birth. So the lawyers and the administrative officials, they neglected that. They need equality. Rather, the person's social position must depend on his merit. Is it clear children? The privileges should be based upon his own merit, own wealth, own income. Is it clear children? These ideas envisaging a society based on freedom and equal laws, which means it leads to the development of new society based on freedom and equal laws and opportunities for all children. Is it clear children? Is it clear? So this is how the middle class society emerged. The next one, so some philosophers gave ideas to it. First one, John Locke. The first one, John Locke. So he, in his book, Two Treatises of Government. What was his book name, children? Two Treatises of Government. He refused the doctrine of divine and absolute right of the monarch. What is meant by doctrine of the divine? Doctrine of the divine means the power which held by the higher or monarchy people, they claimed it came from God. They claimed it came from God. So they have all the rights among the people. So that is absolute right of the monarch. Is it clear children? It was neglected, it was rejected by the John Locke. Is it clear children? So John Locke in his book Two Treatises of the Government, he rejected or refused what are the two things? The doctrine of divine and absolute right of monarch. Is it clear children? So the next one, Jean Jacques Rousseau. Is it clear children? What's his name? Jean Jacques Rousseau. So what he did children, he carried the idea among the people, proposing the a separate form of government based on the social contract between people and their representatives. So he claimed a government should be there. They have to have some social contract between the people and their representatives. Is it clear children? So how we have now in our country, we will elect our leaders, right? As like the same, but there will be a social contract between the people and their elected representatives. The next one, the Montesquieu, the spirit of laws. The Montesquieu is one of the famous philosopher children. He claimed a division of power within the government. He claimed a division of power within the government. You all people are familiar with this word division of power. Why? Because we have the organs of the government, right? As like the same. So in this division of power, the legislative will be there, executive will be there, judiciary department will be there. Is it clear children? So these are the three things comes under the Montesquieu's spirit of laws. This model of government put forth in the USA children. So this model of government put forth in the USA. When it came to the force in the USA children, due to the debt created by the King Louis XVI, right? how it created. He helped the 13 American colonies to get freedom, right? So after getting the declaring the independence from the Britain, the US colonies had some constitution. So constitutions are the set of, yes, rules according to which the government will be, the people will be governed. Is it clear, children? So the American Constitution, and it guarantees the individual rights, was an important example for the political thinkers in the France. So the people took the legislative, executive, judiciary, which followed in the American government, as well as the Montesquieu also claimed to have a division of power in the government. Is it clear, children? Is it clear? Yes. So what are the things we have discussed now? Who are the three philosophers? First one is John Locke. So what he claimed, children? He abolished the doctrine of divine and absolute right of monarch. The second one, Jean Jacques Rousseau, he carried the idea, proposing a social contract between people and their representatives. The third one, Montesquieu, so he claimed in his book The Spirit of Laws the division of the power within the government. Is it clear, children? So these ideas carried by the people. So this is the sample of American Constitution, children. The American Constitution starts with the word "we the people of the United States of America." Is it clear, children? So the ideas of philosophy usually discussed intensively in the saloons and coffee houses. Is it clear, children? So that is the place where the people used to gather most in those times. Okay, so these were frequently read aloud in the groups, children. Instead of giving the papers, they started to read it loud about their ideas and their messages among the people, which is very helpful for the people who could not read and write. Is it clear, children? So the news that King Louis XVI planned to impose further taxes to be able to meet the expenses of the state angered and protested against the system and privileges. So coming to the last one, so we're going to discuss about the accounts of lived experiences. So what is meant by accounts of lived experiences? So the people who lived during that time, in their biographies, they mentioned about the situations. So among them, we're going to discuss about the two persons, George Danton. So what's his name, children? George Danton. So he was a important revolutionary politician, children. So he wrote a letter. So in that letter he mentioned the situation which happened in the France. I'm going to read that, just listen to that. I was educated in the residential college of Places. So he was educated in the residential college of Places. There I was in the company of the important men. So he was in the company of important men. Once his studies ended, that once my studies ended, I was left with nothing. So he don't have anything, children. So I started looking for the post. He was looking for a job. It was impossible to find one at the law courts in Paris. He's saying he find very difficult to find a job in the law courts in Paris. The choice of a career in the army was not open to me, as I was not a noble by birth. By birth, he didn't belong to noble, so he find very difficult to find a job in the army. Nor did I have a patron. Patron means the person who gives a financial or other support to the person. That means he don't have any recommendation, children. The church too could not offer me a refuge. The church too could not give him any shelter or any other support. So I could not buy an office, as I did not possess a sou. What is meant by sou? Sou means a French low coin, low value coin. Is it clear, children? So livre means the unit of currency. Here they are mentioning sou, that is French low value coin. So and also he is saying, my old friends turned their backs to me. The system had provided us with an education without, however, offering a field where our talents could be utilized. He is explaining the unemployment situation and the inequality in the society, children. Who is explaining? George Danton. The second evidence is an Englishman, Arthur Young. What's the name, children? Englishman, Arthur Young. English means he belonged to Britain. He traveled through the France during the years from 1787 to 1789. So he traveled in the years 1787 to 1789 and wrote detailed descriptions of his journey. He often commented on what he saw. Is it clear, children? He who decides to be served and waited upon the slaves. First, I'm going to read that passage, children, and then going to explain. Is it clear? He who decides to be served and waited upon by slaves, ill-treated slaves at most, that must be fully aware that by doing so he is placing his property and his life in a situation which is very different from that he could be in. Had he chosen the services of free and well-treated men, and he who chooses to dine to the dine to the accompaniment of his victims' groans, should not complain if during a riot his daughter gets kidnapped or his son's throat is slit. Simple, children, here it will be a little confusing. The Arthur Young man, he is stating, he is criticizing the complete social system. He is criticizing the complete social system. The slaves are the peasants and servants. So the slaves are the peasants and servants who are underprivileged and deprived section of the French society. Is it clear, children? So he is criticizing the complete social system and particularly the noblemen and the clergy who belonged to the first two estate in the society. And also he is warning children, he is sensing some danger which was created by the king. Yes, by imposing the higher amount and there is no equality among the people. So he is sensing some danger. He is saying the danger served by him is the violence from the underprivileged section on the noble people and their families. Is it clear, children? So what are the two lived experiences? The first one, Georges Danton, and the second one, Arthur Young. Georges Danton explaining about the unemployment in the country, and the Arthur Young explaining about the ill treatment of nobles and the clergy to the deprived society, and ultimately it result to the violence. Is it clear, children? So these are the things we have discussed today. First one, a struggle to survive. So the first reason is population explosion. Due to the population explosion, what happened, children? There is a increase in the demand for the food grains, which leads to the rise of bread price, and also the workers have less wages, which leads to the poverty, and also sometimes hails and droughts leads to the bad harvest, which leads to the subsistence crisis. The subsistence crisis is the extreme situation where the basic means of livelihood are endangered. Is it clear, children? So the next one, a growing middle class envisages an end to privileges, which means previously the peasants and the workers started to revolt against the first two estate people, but they can't find any solution. It was left to the lawyers, merchants, and court officials and administrative officials. They started to trade overseas as well as to the higher estate peoples. What are the two things they trade, children? Woolen and silk textiles. And also the court officials and the lawyers, they are well educated. They believe there is no group in society should be privileged by birth. It should be based on the social status of the person. It should not be based on their birth. So followed by this, who are the three persons, children? First one, John Locke. John Locke wrote the book in his two treatises of government. What is the book written by John Locke, children? Two treatises of government. The second one, Jean-Jacques Rousseau. So what's his book name? So he proposed the social contract between people and the representatives. The third one, Montesquieu. Montesquieu claimed the spirit of laws. In the spirit of laws, he mentioned the division of power of the government. Is it clear, children? Once again, I'll repeat these three important names, children. John Locke, he proposed two treatises of government. He refused the doctrine of divine and absolute right of monarch. So he refused the doctrine of divine and absolute right of monarch. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, what he proposed to children, proposed to the social contract between people and the representatives. Then Montesquieu, he claimed in the spirit of laws the division of power within the government. So after that we have discussed about the two lived experiences. One is George Danton, I repeat, George Danton, and another one is Arthur Young. George Danton explaining about the unemployment. Arthur Young, he explains the ill treatment of the third estate people by the other top two estates people, which leads to the violence to them as well as their families. Is it clear, children? Now start reading the contents in your content book and start taking notes, children. Thank you.